Hello, my name is Jonah Jonathan, and thanks for tuning in. Today I've had the great opportunity of speaking with Miguel Zenón. Alto saxophonist Miguel Zenón is one of the real greats and rising stars in jazz. He's got impeccable tone and intonation. He's an excellent composer and arranger. He was recently awarded the Genius Grant, the MacArthur Grant, and he's also been awarded the Guggenheim Fellowships, and he's been Grammy nominated many times. He's really one of our promising artists of the generations. And I sat down at Litchfield and talked with him about his starts in music and about what he's doing, about the fusions of musics. He's presenting for us his native Puerto Rican music, which is quite an interesting fusion with jazz. And he was nice enough to sit down with us at the end of his performance. I've also included another video, which is the performance at Litchfield Jazz Festival, where he was playing with Louis Perdomo and Henry Cole and Hans Glavitsky, the bassists. And yeah, I mean, he's really one of the cats to check out, and I hope you guys really enjoy this interview. Please subscribe and comment on these videos and stay tuned. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the great Miguel Zenón, and we're here at the Litchfield Jazz Festival. How many times have you been here at Litchfield? Is this your first?
This is actually my third time.
Your third time?
Yeah,
wow.
My third time.
Great,
my first time here was, I would say, about 9 years ago with this bass player, John Benitez.
Oh, yeah, John.
And Luis was playing also,
cat,
and Daphnis Prieto was playing drums. And then I was here in 2007, I think, with Charlie Hayden and his band. Nice. And now this time.
Yeah, so this is your third time.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Let's talk about your early beginnings. I want to talk about how you got involved with music, because we were talking about a little bit in the talk there, but I want to kind of get into detail. How did you first get exposed to music? I know you're from Puerto Rico, right?
Right. I mean, music there is very present in everyday life, so it's sort of part of culture in a way. But there was a gentleman in my neighborhood when I was growing up. I was about 9 or 10, who taught kids for free. He would teach you theory, how to read music, that kind of thing. And then once he thought you were ready, he would, make you choose an instrument, and you would start playing in the marching band from the neighborhood. And he did this for free, so it was really inspiring that he did this, So a couple friends of mine from elementary school told me about it. They say, "Oh man, it's really cool. You learn how to read music, and then we all play together in a band." It's like cool. I was attracted to music, but it was more like a game.
Sure.
So I went, and I liked it immediately. I was really into it. Learning how to read and learning a new system, and so I got through that. And then once I had to choose an instrument, I was attracted to the piano, like I mentioned before. But I had to choose something that you could play in the band. So I had a friend who was already playing a little saxophone, and he already could play a couple melodies and stuff. So I was like, man, that sounds really fun.
Cool, man.
And it was the alto saxophone. So my mom got a hold of an alto saxophone, and I started with that. And then basically immediately after that, I started going to a performing arts middle school and high school in Puerto Rico. It's a really good school where a lot of people went, like John and David Sanchez, a lot of really good Puerto Rican musicians.
Really pumped a lot of you.
It's a really, really good school. A lot of classical musicians too have come out of there. So I went there for 6 years, and that's kind of how I started, where I really got like all the basics of the saxophone and playing in ensembles. It was all basically classical training.
That's great, man.
So I started off in that, and then eventually I discovered jazz, I would say, when I was finishing the school, about 15 or 16 or so.
What's the first stuff you started listening to when you first checked out jazz?
Well, like I said, my first sort of training was in classical music, but my first experiences as a professional musician were playing dance music, popular music in Puerto Rico, salsa, traditional music, etc. So when I discovered jazz, I was already playing.
Sure,
like kind of like playing gigs and stuff, getting paid already and stuff. But I never thought about being a musician before I discovered jazz. Even though I was already sort of making some money from it, I always thought it like it was like fun. You know, it's like I didn't take it serious. I didn't really practice that much. And the thing that blew me away, and I mentioned this before, when I heard, for example, when I heard Charlie Parker the first time, because I was trained classically, you know, I was sort of trained to appreciate things from an instrumental perspective. So when I heard him and the amount of technique he had and the proficiency he had on the instrument, you know, I was blown away just by that. But then when I realized that he was improvising, basically a concept that was really alien to me, especially coming from you know, being rooted in a specific language. You know. So when I heard somebody improvising, but improvising in such a deep way, you know, I heard there's so much information in what he was doing, and I had no idea what he was doing, and I didn't know anything about that. But I was drawn to it immediately, you know.
And emotional connection.
Yeah. You know, it's something just clicked in me, you know. And you know, I kept trying to listen some more, Miles and Coltrane, and a lot of the Latin American musicians who were playing at the time too, and you know, I mean, that sort of changed my life. It really changed my route in life. You know, I was going away. I was going in a different direction. I was really interested in mathematics and science, and I was going that direction. And then this sort of like, you know, this told me you should try this. You know, and I tried this, and I tried it, and at first it was hard just to kind of get my rooting, and I was trying to come over here to the States to study, and that took a while, just putting some money together, scholarships, etc. But once things started rolling, you know, everything kind of fell into place.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely became a scientist in music, man, because you are in the laboratory experimenting with the fusions of the music.
Yeah, you could definitely think about it that way, of course.
Yeah, I mean, your stuff, I've never heard of that kind of stuff before, and obviously you've been blessed to receive the MacArthur Genius Grant, which is not an easy feat in any regard.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it's a blessing. Yeah.
It's great, man. I mean, so when did you come to New York? When did you finally move here and start studying here?
Well, I initially moved to Boston. I went to Berklee College of Music.
Yeah.
When I was about 19, I was in '96, and I finished a degree there. And once I finished there, you know, talking to some friends and teachers and stuff, they advised that I should think about going to New York for a little while, see how it went. So I thought that, you know, if I was going to go to New York, I wanted to go there, like, you know, with the reason I just moved there. So I went there, and I also applied to school for a master's at Manhattan School of Music, and I did a master's there too. So when I moved to New York, I was basically going to school. But as I was doing that, I was also meeting a lot of people. I was playing, and I started subbing with the Village Vanguard Orchestra, those kinds of things, and that kind of put me, you know, in touch with a lot of older musicians and a lot of people that I admired, and I was able to interact with them that way and learned a lot at school, but also outside of school. You know what I mean?
That's fantastic.
You know, after that, I basically started playing with a lot of different bands, and then eventually formed my own band.
Things started happening. So what's the concept that you originally had behind forming your own band?
Well, you know, to me, when I started playing music, I never thought that I wanted to play music to have my own band and be a leader and have CDs and stuff like that. I basically wanted to play with people that I admired.
Sure.
You know, that was my purpose when I started playing music. I wanted to play with the people that I admired, and I've gotten to play with a lot of my heroes, which is great. It's like a dream come true for me, you know, really. Yeah. So putting a band together was really just a means to try out my own music. Basically, that was the main purpose in the beginning. I was just writing things, and I wanted to try it out, and we got to rehearse, and then we said, maybe we should play a gig. Then we played a gig, and then we said, maybe we should record it, and then we did that, and then it it just kept happening. We kept repeating the process, and because I've been playing with the same guys for a long time, like Luis and Hans, we've been playing together for like 12 years. You know.
Wow.
So
that's a long time.
And Henry's been in the band for 7 years. So you know, it's really natural for us to go through the process.
Well, you guys are definitely exploring new grounds in jazz. I mean, you're making fusions of music that's never been explored before. Could you talk about whether that's a conscious thing or is it just you being you, trying to?
No, it's not a conscious thing at all. No, I mean I think it's everybody kind of evolves in a specific way, and I mean I like to feel that my music is growing and changing and is like I am, like we all
certainly
are, you know,
evolving,
like the world is. So I think it's just part of the process, you know. That's
wonderful. So if you had advice for a young student who is trying to get started in the scene and someone who aspired to be like you, what advice would you give me?
Well, you know, my advice would be to trust yourself. You know, I mean, trust yourself, trust your inner feelings. I mean, nobody knows yourself like you do, and nobody knows what you want and what you need to do and what you need to work on to achieve it. So that'll be the first thing, you know. Something that worked for me and that I tell a lot of students and a lot of young musicians is just to put in the work. You know, I mean, there's really not getting around that. You know, I mean, if you put in the work, it'll pay dividends.
It'll pay off. Yeah.
So I just tell them, you know, focus on what you're doing, work hard, you know, work on your instrument, work on your craft, and believe in yourself. And, you know, eventually somebody will hear you and they'll like what you're doing. They'll see that there's truth in what you're doing, and you know, you start from there. You start to go.
What was the real formula behind your woodshedding experience? Could you tell us a little bit about your typical day practicing?
Well, it's changed a little bit through the years, but something that I work a lot on the instrument. So I work a lot on sound, like a lot on sound, and I work a lot on technique. And then I spend a lot of time just working on the language, working on transcriptions, listening, working on repertoire, and just working on expanding my own language. So my own language, the way I see it, is kind of like built on top. It's built out of people that I like, you know, like built out of Charlie Parker, Sonny Rollins, Coltrane, Cannibal, you know, people that I like to transcribe and listen to. So, you know, I started off imitating them, and then eventually I tried to find a way to express the inspiration they gave me on my own, you know, through my own words, basically. Yeah. So I spent a lot of time doing that, you know, just kind of building a language that can translate the inspiration I already drawn from these musicians and all kinds of music and all kinds of things, really. And try to express it on my own way. Yeah.
Well, what kind of path do you see in regards to your future? Where would you like to go next with your projects?
It's hard to say. You know, I mean, I've been focusing on the last couple projects we've done. I focus a lot on exploring the music of Puerto Rico, and it's something that's really important to me, just on a personal level, because I'm from there, and I feel that there's so much more to explore and so much for me to learn, really, about Puerto Rico and Puerto Rican culture, that, you know, I definitely see myself exploring that a little more and digging deeper. But also there's other things that I want to do and other roles that I want to take. I think the more I play and the more experience I get, I find just different ways to express myself through a band or through my own music or through my playing. So, you know, I'm taking it as it comes.
That's wonderful. So, in regards to the Litchfield Jazz Camp, I'm sure you've had some exposure to the camp. What would you say about your experiences of what you've seen with the camp? And
well, you know,
talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it seems like it's a great thing. I mean, I know a lot of people who've taught here, and some people who have gone through the camp too. And you know, I think in general, there can't be anything negative about being exposed to music. You know, any kind of music. You know, jazz or whatever music it is. I mean, I think music, the impact that music can have on a human being is something that's so positive and it makes you appreciate so many things, even if you don't become a musician eventually. You know, it makes you think, it makes you see things differently, especially if you're a young person. So you know, I have nothing but appreciation and respect to something like this, and I just hope it keeps going for much longer. You know, I mean, it's especially when you're dealing with younger people, it's something that I feel is deeply needed, especially these days. You know.
Well, Miguel, thanks so much for doing this interview. Where can people check out your music?
Well, you know, I have a website under my name, MiguelZenon.com, and a lot of information there. We have a couple of records with the band, and all our dates and all the information that you need is there. And you know, hopefully we'll be able to catch up with some of the people who are seeing this interview at some point.
Great. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Take care.
Cool.